lopsided but slowly organizing disturbance churning off of Florida's Gulf Coast on the cusp of becoming our very first named storm of this hurricane season. We're live to answer your questions on when and where the storm will hit on Tracking the Tropics, powered by Handyman Roofing. Hey there, folks. JB here with you live in your hurricane headquarters. Great to have Max Fender 8 meteorologist Lee Spann there with you on the right side of your screen. We are on standby to answer as many questions as possible. You can file in your questions now using our hashtag system. Hashtag HeyLee, hashtag HeyJB in the Facebook Live comment section, or of course, hashtag Hey Amanda for Max Fender 8 meteorologist Amanda Holly standing by with the latest on this 11 a.m. update that just came in on potential tropical cyclone 1, Amanda, and not Alex yet.
Not Alex just yet. We were waiting for that update to be pushed out because we were wondering if the National Hurricane Center was going to name this. They did not. The hurricane hunters are in the storm. They are investigating the storm here, and they really still have not found that closed center of circulation, and that's what we need for it to get the name. Maximum winds, though, are at 40 miles per hour. We are seeing some of those stronger gusts in some of these storms out here. So we do have tropical storm force winds, but again, not organized enough in terms of its structure to be a tropical storm. And one of those reasons is very clear just by looking at the satellite presentation. This is where the center is trying to form. This is where all of the shower and thunderstorm activity is. So, normally we see a well-rounded system. This one is very asymmetric, which is why we're already starting to see some impacts in the state of Florida. Now, it is going to remain this way. So I want to reiterate that before I show you this track, because all of those impacts are going to be felt between now and tomorrow morning, before the center of the storm approaches the southwest Florida coastline. The center is likely going to approach tomorrow morning around 8 a.m. This is the official forecast cone. This is the new one as of 11 a.m. We didn't see much changes with this. It's so skinny because we have high confidence in where the center is going to go. So tomorrow morning, the center is approaching the coastline, but our impacts will have been well underway. 24 hours after that, by Sunday morning at 8 a.m., this is all is going to be in the Atlantic, and we're going to have a much different second half of the weekend. And the forecast cone continues it out into the Atlantic. So after it impacts us here in the state of Florida, Bermuda might see some fringe impacts there, but otherwise this will be a fish storm out at sea. Forecast models in good agreement on this. They have not changed. Really within the past 24 hours, the center will likely move ashore across the peninsula and continue to move it out into the Atlantic. And again, the center approaches us tomorrow morning, but the impacts are already being felt. Now, when we look at the tropical watches and warnings, the tropical storm watches that were issued yesterday have been upgraded to tropical storm warnings for most of the southern half of the peninsula. The reason they were upgraded is just because we're a little bit closer to the event. The timeline has increased a little bit, and we are closer to that landfall and closer to those potential tropical storm force winds. Regardless, the system is going to be very weak, and we're not really looking at a huge wind impact with this storm. It's mostly going to be the flooding impacts, and that's why we have flood watches in effect for the southern half of the peninsula. These are going to be very important going through the next 36 hours because of the amount of rain that we could see. Now, yesterday we saw flooding in our average summertime thunderstorms. This is going to be, a little bit longer lived event where we're going to see potentially between 6 and 10 inches of rain in the southern portion of the peninsula. Now, locally here in the Tampa Bay area, we're not expecting quite that much, but we do have pretty saturated grounds, especially after yesterday's rain. So some minor flooding is certainly possible as we look at this storm. Now, Lee, I want to bring Lee in right now because her and I have been working all morning. We have been watching this mass of rain kind of moving up from the south. Max Fender 8 radar has been tracking this, and this is exactly what we expect, even though the center of the storm is still near the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yeah, we were talking about it all day today, just that these upper level winds taking what should be swirling around the center and just shoving it all toward Florida at this point. So that's why, why we are more concerned about flooding in places like South Florida, because the rain event is going to last so long, and it's just now starting to spread farther north. So we've also talked about that the big differences in just our area, just from north of I-4 to south of I-4, because as you know, the storm, almost all the rain is to the south of it. So many places north of I-4 in Florida will barely even see anything more, if anything, probably less rain on Saturday and Sunday than what they would normally see on a summer day. Meanwhile, you go places to the south, all the way down through Lee and Charlotte County, right on down into the Miami communities, and they're talking about, 6 to 10 inches of rainfall. So it's a huge difference over a small part of our state.
Yeah, the Nature Coast is going to say, what tropical storm, as we go through the next 24 hours. But the southern half of the peninsula, especially south of Sarasota and Highlands County, we're talking about South Florida here, it's going to be a very soggy next 24 hours. That rain has already started, and you can see the yellows and some of the oranges. That's some pockets of some moderate to heavy rain. It's exactly what is going to continue over the next 24 hours. Because the system, again, is very sheared. Lee just talked about it. Those upper level winds are coming in very strong on top of the system here. This is in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and it's keeping all of the shower and thunderstorm activity on the eastern side, not allowing any of it to wrap around. That's why the system is having a hard time organizing. But we do think that it is going to organize regardless, and we do think that it will become Tropical Storm Alex between the next 12 and 24 hours as it gets a little bit closer. So let's talk about that timeline a little bit. We're already starting to see the rain in South Florida. Now, that light rain, at the very least, is going to continue to slowly migrate to the north, but using the I-4 corridor here as basically a cutoff, anything north of that, as we just talked about, you're going to kind of say, what tropical storm? Because a lot of this rain is going to be confined south of the I-4 corridor. Now, I do think that it will be pretty light as we go through the next 12 hours or so in Pinellas, Hillsborough, and Polk County, but the farther south you go, you're going to get in more frequent pockets of heavy rain. Those are going to come by more frequently. This is right around 5 o'clock. We've got the heavy rain continuing to come ashore there in southwest Florida. Going to continue to advance this future radar loop, and you can see the cutoff of that light rain is still the I-4 corridor. This is tonight around midnight. Lots of heavy rain continuing down in South Florida. Some small pockets of heavy rain, some downpours there in our southern counties here. So I'm talking about Sarasota, Hardy, Highlands, and DeSoto County. Some pockets of heavy rain, just off and on of pockets, but it's going to be a steadier heavy rain down in South Florida. This light green stuff is just that minor trickle of rain, if you will. This is midnight. We're going to continue to advance it here. This is tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. This is when that center of what will likely become Alex is going to be approaching the southwest Florida coastline. But again, we have been already feeling all of these effects, and look at this. The Tampa area, Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, and obviously areas northward, we're already starting to dry out by tomorrow morning, even though the center of a tropical storm is just off to our south. So heavy rain continues down to the south. Obviously, that's why we're expecting a lot more heavy rainfall totals, higher totals down in South Florida, where we'll see the consistent rainfall, consistent heavy rainfall there. Continuing to advance, this is 9:30 tomorrow. We're starting to see that heavy rain exiting the entire Florida peninsula as the system then moves out into the Atlantic. This is 2 o'clock tomorrow. So a little more than 24 hours from now, we're talking about the heavy rain being gone. It's going to still be breezy here. Don't get me wrong. We're talking about gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour, even as the system kind of pulls out into the Atlantic. But the winds, not the biggest concern here. We're talking about the rainfall totals, the flooding threat. Obviously, biggest flooding threat is in South Florida. We're talking about a line from basically just south of Northport, just south of Highlands County, and all the way down to the south. Anywhere between 6 and 10 inches of rain is possible. That's why that flooding threat is high. And the farther north you go, you can see the gradients here. The rainfall totals get significantly less. And up in Citrus, Pasco, and Hernando County, you guys could be dealing with maybe a half an inch of rain with just an average summertime thunderstorm later on today. But otherwise, most of the impacts from what will likely become Alex is going to be south of the Tampa Bay area. But this, this is a big flooding threat, especially for areas like Miami that don't take a lot of rainfall very well. Some of those high tides, they're certainly, guys, going to be dealing with some of those street flooding down there in South Florida. So not a huge impact for us here in the Tampa Bay area, but we're tracking it. It's our first named storm of the season, and it will impact us here in the state of Florida, mostly in the form of some rain, which is some good news.
Yep. And we've got some folks in our comment section already celebrating the arrival of some precipitation in the viewing area. Use a hashtag, ask a question. It's that simple, folks, in our Facebook Live comment section, powered by Handyman Roofing. This is our meteorologist Q&A on Tracking the Tropics, and we start here with a hashtag Hey Lee question from Mary Motes. And you can start filing in your hashtag-based questions and comments, folks. Use hashtag Hey Lee, hashtag Hey Amanda, hashtag Hey JB, and we'll feature your comments out of the Facebook Live comment section. But Mary asking here, hashtag Hey Lee, what are the chances Lakeland might see some rain? Located close to I-4 in North Lakeland, we haven't had any rain in the week. So just as Amanda was noting, the I-4 corridor right there at that border of this, right?
It really is. And that's why I'm like, okay, North Lakeland, right at I-4, that is really the boundary. So if you are in southern Polk County, I would say, okay, you're probably going to get some significant rain. Lakeland, and especially North Lakeland, you're going to get some rain, but it's going to be pretty light. I know I felt like I was always the one left out from the rain as well the past couple of days, but you will get some rain no matter what with this system. Now, it might not be heavy, it might not be long-lived, but anywhere right at that I-4 corridor, you should see some rain. It'll be on the lighter side, but then again, that's also with the extra clouds that brings. That means it's not going to be, the sun's not going to be blistering down on your lawn and kind of helping to dry things out even more. So it'll be a little cloudier for you. I mean, look at this. One of the things that Amanda and I have been talking about all day is how the models have come into almost identical agreement at where that line of heavy rain starts and stops. And it is, you know, convenient enough for us. It is along the I-4 corridor. So that's why I said, even if you were to live in like South Lakeland, or if you're heading down toward Mulberry, I would expect you to get a good bit more rain. But if you're north of I-4, it's not going to be quite as much as far as the rainfall totals are concerned. But I do think, Mary, that you should get some, but it's either going to be tonight or early tomorrow morning. So I don't think you're going to have a very wet Saturday, which, again, people don't necessarily always want a wet Saturday, but if your lawn needed it, then, you know, perhaps you wanted some of that rain.
We're going to do a 2-for-1 here, starting with Waleska Rodriguez Cruz, hashtag HJB. Do you think that we will get rain in Tampa? We've also got Evelyn joining us on the WFLA JB Facebook page. Hello to everybody joining us on my Facebook page. Really appreciate you tuning in. Evelyn Perez Brown, hashtag Hey Lee. So is Plant City out of the woods? Won't even see any rain? Yeah. Bring you guys both up for this.
So out of the woods. Hi, I'm twinning. Out of the woods, meaning, you know, any sort of bad threat for bad weather. Yes. Out of the woods for getting rain, no. Again, that I-4 corridor right along where Plant City is, you're going to see rain. It is not going to be significant rain. It's not going to be 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. But could you see between a half an inch and an inch? But by the time this whole thing is done, not out of the question, right, Amanda?
Absolutely. I mean, that's where our cutoff is going to be. So the downpours that end up holding together, if you will, that far north, you might get a taste of. But otherwise, yeah, out of the woods. I don't know that anyone's really in the woods in anything with this particular system. But, you know, it's doable.
And the same thing, you had the other question from Tampa. Same thing. Now, we will get rain in Tampa. It's just not going to be... it's not going to be a significant tropical type rain event. Now, what it may do, which again is helpful for your lawns, is that it's not going to come all in one, you know, like we get it sometimes in the summer, right, where it thunders and it pours and then the sun comes out and it all evaporates right back up. So it didn't do a whole lot of good for you.
Or goes into the drain.
Or goes into the drain. But a lighter rain with some clouds lingering around, which may actually end up being a little more beneficial for our very crispy lawns.
This time next week, everyone will be mowing their lawns.
Yes, it's going to grow fast.
Next in our hashtag list is Connie asking, we've got some other counties now being represented in our comments section, which is good to see. Connie Roberts asking, hashtag KJB, please tell us about Hernando County, please.
You're not going to, your minimal effects is what we've been saying. You might not even recognize that there's a tropical system.
As you can see there on the graphic, minimal impact. You will look at a radar and see it, but otherwise you'll look up and there won't be much.
And Mike Wilkinson, hashtag KJB, maybe Citrus County is going to get some rain, but that's probably all. I guess. I mean, what do we say to Mike in Citrus County?
I think there will be a couple of isolated storms this afternoon, but those are mainly your regular afternoon thunderstorms up in Citrus, Hernando County. Otherwise, the rain that is really associated with what will be Alex is not really going to impact the Nature Coast.
How about this one coming in from Brittany? Hashtag, hey, Amanda, coming right back to you, Amanda. How bad will Okeechobee be?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, certainly south of I-4, there will be passing heavy downpours, and I do think that Okeechobee is in that area where we could see some isolated tornadoes as well. So, you know, how bad will it be on a level, you know, 1 out of 10, 10 being the worst, you know, 2, maybe 3.
That's what I would give it, yeah.
You know, passing tropical downpours and a low threat for those tornadoes.
Because the track does take it just to the north of Lake Okeechobee, and so that would put it in what we call the front right quadrant of the storm, where you would have the strongest winds and the most likely place to see some tornadoes. So the fact that the storm's center, albeit as ragged as that center is expected to go just to your north. You do have that bigger threat for not only heavy downpours, but the isolated tornadoes are the stronger storms with them.
And speaking, you know, Okeechobee obviously deals a lot with the water levels. Depending on where those are at right now, that could be a factor heading into next week, because you guys could see a lot of rain over the next 24 hours. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Now, I think this question from Linda, I think this mostly depends on where, but hashtag, hey, Amanda from Linda asking, can I fly on Saturday? So of course, this is going to be completely dependent on the location of your departing airport, but what do we say, you guys, for Linda here?
Yeah, if you're not in South Florida, Saturday, I have the future radar up for you. It's starting at midnight, and you can see the heavy rain is, you know, to our south, really south of Highlands County and Sarasota County. This is at 6 a.m. We have a lot of dry spots in there. There shouldn't be any reason that a plane can't take off in between a downpour.
And even if it's going to stay gusty, which it will, 25 to 30 miles an hour, that's nothing for the planes are just fine for that. So, you know, you might be more concerned with where you're heading to, because they might have actually some severe weather across other parts of the country that may be causing it. But flying out from here should not be a problem on Saturday, even in the Sarasota Bradenton Airport.
Yeah, this is 9 in the morning on your screen right there, and most of the activity already out of the state.
How about Melissa Tarman, who's been patient in our comment section? She filed this one in a few minutes ago. Hashtag, hey, Amanda. Hashtag, hey, JB. What about Charlotte County?
Charlotte County, you know, I do think that there could be some flooding potential there. You will be a little bit closer to where that center is, and you will see some of the stronger wind gusts, especially if you're near the coast, between 30, maybe 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Can't rule out an isolated tornado, but the flooding rains, the heavy rains are going to be a little bit more consistent for you down in Charlotte County.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Lee.
No, exactly, because we've talked about it being that area just south of Sarasota. So literally Lee and Charlotte counties may end up getting the strongest of the winds. And again, not very strong, but of what's going to occur, the strongest winds would be there.
I've got a great shot, and shout out to our digital content producer, Athena, who just made this available to us. We have a live picture here coming in from, I want to make sure I have this right. Yeah, it is from Key West. This is folks are going to know this spot well. This is the southernmost point. Check this out, you guys.
They're still getting their picture made. Man, there's always a line for this thing.
You got to, right? You're there.
So what do you guys make of what we're seeing here? This is live, by the way, folks. This is a courtesy of, and I'm trying to see exactly, that's Two Oceans Digital in the top left. So thank you to them for providing this picture. Folks still lining up to get their picture in front of the marker. So for folks that have never been to Key West, this is the southernmost point, as close as you can get on land to Cuba. Right, yeah. And so it's an extremely popular tourist spot, because you go there, you take a picture, you're at the southernmost point here in the continental United States.
And you know what? I mean, getting a picture at the southernmost point
unique, right?
with the waves splashing over the balustrade there and over the seawall. I mean, you can't get more classic Florida than that. So you can dry off, but you'll never get that. You'll be rare to get that picture very often. So yes, I mean, this is a tropical storm. I mean, the waves are high. I mean, obviously, normally there's barely a wave out there. So, you know, waves are high. The rain is coming down. The wind is gusty. And that's what it's going to look like.
And I've been talking about this all morning, too. the marine conditions are not going to be that great today and tomorrow. They'll be improving on Saturday, but high risk for rip currents out there. You know, minimal impacts to the Tampa Bay area over the land, but certainly the marine impacts, the beach impacts won't be great this weekend. So please be careful if you're headed out.
And we were talking about it too, is because the rain will go away, people may think, oh, it's sunny, let me go take my boat out. But remember, there's a then basically dry tropical storm that is really churning up the sea. So, you know, we ask you to stay.
I'm people watching, you guys. I'm sorry, I'm guilty of people watching over here because this woman's got an umbrella.
Need her umbrella. Just tough it out. It's coming from all sides.
You're gonna get wet if you're standing in this spot. I don't know how much help an umbrella is going to be, but you guys, how much worse are the conditions going to get here over the next 24 hours in Key West? It will get worse in this spot, right?
Probably not much worse.
Yeah,
not much worse, no?
That's probably what it's going to be like.
This is peak.
Because we talked about, I mean, but it's going to be a little more sustained because we talked about how that system is elongated and sheared. So, you know, the 40 or 20 to 35 mile per hour winds are extending well away from the center of circulation. So it's just going to be like this for another 12 to 15 hours.
There goes the integrity of the umbrella is shot.
No.
The umbrella is good. But, you know, that's a great photo, though.
Yes.
You will have this photo.
I'm glad we're capturing this right now, too.
You'll have this photo forever. That time that you were at the southernmost point in the continental U.S. in Key West, Florida, you took a picture, and there goes the umbrella. It is shot. It is out. It is done.
In a basically a tropical storm. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm glad. Thank you very much to Athena, our digital producer, for getting that because that was fun.
That's fantastic. A couple more questions for you. This is our last call for your questions and comments on this edition, Tracking the Tropics. We very likely will have more coverage in the hours and days ahead as we continue to monitor potential tropical cyclone 1, what is widely expected to become Tropical Storm Alex, as Amanda mentioned earlier, sometime in the next 12 to 24 hours. As we're looking here at some of the models, some of the rainfall totals. Let's get to this one. Coming in from, this is a good one from Crystal Jean Moore. Hashtag HJB, hashtag Hey Amanda. Will Pinellas County experience any possible tornadoes? I think this is fresh on everyone's mind after what has transpired in the last week, of course, with the the bout of tornadoes that we had here in the viewing area. So what do we say to Crystal? Not even just Pinellas County, but maybe even beyond. Well, let's answer her question, talk about Pinellas County and also some of the other areas where we might experience some possible spin-up tornadoes.
South of the Tampa Bay area really is going to have the highest. It's still a low threat, but of those isolated tornadoes, we're talking about anywhere south of Sarasota County, Hardee County, and DeSoto and Highlands County. Now, could we see? You can't
rule it out anytime that there's a landfalling tropical system, but it's a low threat.
But we're talking about South Florida. Yeah. That has the biggest low threat, if you will, for an isolated tornado.
Let's get to this one coming in from Billy Adams Hamilton, hashtag KGB. How's the timeline for the Osceola Polk County line? And thank you for being here informing us. Of course, it's what we do here at Tracking the Tropics. What do we say, Lee, for Billy Adams Hamilton?
Well, there is going to be rain, and right there between Polk County and as you head toward the Disney area, and there will be rain that will spread north into your area and kind of hang out. It's not going to rain all the time, but it also is not going to be super sunny all the time. And it's going to be a little breezy, and that's going to last today through the afternoon, through tonight, and then into tomorrow morning. And then you're going to see it clearing out. Now, it's going to be still breezy tomorrow, and so could a passing little shower come and hit you on Saturday, and it kind of comes and goes in 15 minutes? Yes, that's what we call these gusty downpours. Like, they come in, they're getting caught up in these winds, so they don't last very long, but it'll send your picnic quickly back inside for 10 or 15 minutes. But again, anytime you're right there on that border of I-4, it's not going to rain on you a lot, but it's also not going to be super sunny. So you're kind of going to waffle between kind of cloudy and rainy conditions.
Got a couple travel questions coming in. We'll get to both of these. First from Dorothy Jones, hashtag AJB, traveling from Tampa to Fort Lauderdale. When is the safest time to travel today?
Yesterday?
Now, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean that's an excellent.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it's already raining. No matter what time you leave, you're going to experience rain. The later you wait to leave today, the heavier the rain will be. So just kind of looking at a loop of the radar over the past 30 minutes, you can see those orange and yellow pockets. Those are the pockets of the heavier rain. So they're sporadic, but as we go later into today, they're going to become a bit more consistent. So rain no matter what time you leave today. So definitely take it easy on the road.
And if you're driving north from the Tampa Bay area, things are going to be pretty optimal. Heather Stafford here, hashtag Hey Amanda. How are driving conditions to drive north midday tomorrow?
Oh, no worries for you there, Heather. You'll be just fine.
All right, let's see if we can sneak in maybe one last one here in our Facebook Live comment section. Just saying, let's just give some shout outs to some of the folks that are joining us, like Joe, Patricia, Nina, Annette, Sue, Hermine. A lot of folks joining us. We'll maybe try to get this one more in. I'm looking.
Can we? I don't know if you can pull the question up from Hermine, JB, but Lee and I have been kind of talking about that all morning too.
Let's see if I can get Hermine's comment in. I'm looking. And
Amanda, why don't you just
seeing it on my screen.
We can just talk about it. I know.
Let's just
it's
talk
always
about
fun
it.
to see, your name pop up on the screen though. So, but Hermine Anderson is asking, why is this being called a potential tropical cyclone? What is the difference? Is it different from a tropical storm or hurricane? And this is a new term coined from the National Hurricane Center in the past couple of years. And I kind of talked about it briefly at the very beginning. I'm going to go back to satellite just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about as I'm talking about it. And right now, we're not looking at an organized tropical depression or a tropical storm. We don't have the storms kind of wrapping around the center of the storm just yet. So the National Hurricane Center thinks that it will become a tropical depression or a tropical storm before landfall. So identifying it as this potential tropical cyclone just allows them to issue a track and allows them to issue watches and warnings. So it's different in that it's not a tropical storm or hurricane just yet, but the National Hurricane Center has a pretty high likelihood that they think that it is going to become one. So it's still in the process of organizing. We just don't have those storms wrapping around the center just yet.
Because they were kind of in a conundrum before this, because before they started the potential tropical cyclone name, because they were like, okay, this is definitely going to impact someone, but it is not yet formed. So they were kind of sitting on their hands, waiting to put that forecast out, waiting to warn people. So they said, let's do something that warns people, as soon as we can. Why are we waiting for this? So they had to come up with this new title, which basically before this would have just been an area of low pressure, a tropical disturbance,
We'd
or
still be calling it an invest
or something like that. And so, but this just really allows them, but they don't do this unless it's going to impact land within the next couple of days, so that they can go ahead and not have to wait to warn people. And, if this were any stronger, we would want South Florida to know. We would want them to be under those warnings so that they can make the preparations, because a lot of emergency managers go by, hey, when a hurricane warning is issued, we do this. When a tropical storm warning is issued, we do this. But if they can't issue those warnings until the storm forms and then it hits too quickly, it was a nice way for the Hurricane Center to be able to step in and say, we're going to warn people even if the system's not formed yet.
Think about it like this. Instead of the word cyclone, think of cyclone as a storm. So it's a potential tropical storm.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to continue to, talk about that and explain that over the next couple of years, just so, people get used to it, because it's a little weird. It's something new. But they are going to continue to use that.
What is simple to remember is Alex, which we might have in 12 to 24 hours. We're going to keep you monitored from our hurricane headquarters, folks, here at WFLA News Channel 8 in Tampa, Florida, home of the Max Defender 8 weather team, of course, with Lee Spann, Amanda Holly, who you'll be seeing on air and online. And we'll have additional episodes of Tracking the Tropics as we continue to monitor potential tropical cyclone 1. It is a mouthful, but yes, we are expecting it to receive the first name in the alphabet that being for the 2022 hurricane season on the Atlantic side, that being Alex. And we'll, of course, keep you posted on trackingthetropics.tv. Yeah, our new website. You can go over to it. It'll take you over to WFLA.com, where we have all of our resources, everything that you need to know to stay in the know for hurricane season. One last time before we go, another look.
Yes.
Yeah, we couldn't say farewell without one last look at the southernmost point in the continental U.S. live from Key West, Florida. It's a great photo op.
Doesn't that look
great
fun?
Photo op. It
That
does.
looks fun.
It does look fun. That looks like, yeah, I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, it's also the shortest line.
Yeah.
There's usually a line of people that's at least 20 or 30 people deep. So
the last time I was there was a 2-hour line,
Yeah.
2-hour wait.
Wow, yeah, well, if you're going to be
Is
there
this-
during that, you got to embrace it like
Yeah.
she is right
Yeah.
there. I love it.
Yeah. So, folks, and if you've never been to the Keys, you've never been to Key West, you just got to go. It's one of the most beautiful regions of our country. Perhaps
It's a
not.
little prettier than that.
Yeah, perhaps not this weekend, but go at some point in your lifetime. You will not regret it. Folks, we'll keep you posted on all things potential Tropical Cyclone 1. And, of course, when it does, in fact, become, as expected, Tropical Storm Alex, all your updates on trackingthetropics.tv, on WFLA.com, as well as on air and online from the entire Max Defender Rate weather team. For Lee, Amanda, I'm JB. We'll see you next time, folks, on Tracking the Tropics.
Thank you for watching Tracking the Tropics.